This is John again. As folks are filling that out, I just, it's interesting to look at these questions because PE5 wins. We at one time were advanced, setting goals and making progress, but as a part of our merger, that kind of is, I would almost say we're back to the intermediate level, and that's, and we will have to reestablish our goals as a combined company. I think that's one thing that's just kind of common around carbon management is it is an active management process, something that has to be adapted as your companies change. So interesting just to look at that. I can't answer because I was an organizer.
Don't worry, John. I'll be back at you. I'll get back to you on that one.
So it looks like we got the results there, Duncan.
Okay. Someone want to just quickly review those because I cannot see them.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, it looks like we've got equally split between just getting started and advanced with some folks that are also within the basic and intermediate levels. And so I think that speaks well to Zoe's slide around the different levels and the fact that we do have a wide variety of experience within the just the attendees, but also across the country.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to now get back into sort of what do we mean by good carbon management. There's a lot of greenhouse gas standards out there. Some of you, I'm sure, are very familiar with some of them. We don't have time today to get into the details of greenhouse gas accounting through the various standards that are out there. But one thing I did want to point out that even though there's different standards out there, most of them share common principles, and these are the 5 common principles among most greenhouse gas accounting standards. All of them are important, clearly, but one thing I did want to mention today is it's really important to keep in mind the relevance principles. So, who is using the information that you're collecting? What are they going to be doing with it? And what do you need to do to be able to supply reliable and accurate information to be able to support those decisions that they're making? So what do we mean by good carbon management? Clearly there's no universal answer to that. It really depends on a lot of things, geography, your industry sector, the particulars of your particular company. But in general, there are some common characteristics. Clearly, you need to understand your footprint, and depending on what industry and what company you're in, understanding the value chain part of that would be more or less important. You need to understand your risks and opportunities, and to some extent, you may be able to understand some of those without your footprint, but you're not going to be able to quantify them very well unless you understand your footprint and know whether some of these risks are a $1 million issue, a $10 million issue, or a $100 million issue. They can be, as we said, from various sources, from regulations, from your value chain, associated with carbon markets and other stakeholder expectations. Often we'll see that companies benchmark themselves against industry leaders, against globally accepted standards, against their peers. And as a result of all the above points, you clearly want to develop a strategy, and you can have a more or less developed strategy, and then finally implementing and integrating that strategy into your core business processes. And then I guess the last point, communication is important. Obviously, if you're doing a lot of good things, it doesn't help you get the value of those unless you're communicating to your important stakeholders. So I'll just quickly go through what's important from the CDP's point of view. Their disclosure index has been around for a long time, and basically it's measuring the comprehensiveness of the information that you provide and focuses on that. Last year there's a new index called the Performance Index, and it is more focused on outcomes. So you can see here some of the details behind that on the Performance Index. Some tips for reporting to the CDP. I'm not going to go through all of these in detail, but the ones on the left-hand side of the screen really kind of more practical, pragmatic tips in terms of what you actually have to do to be able to complete the CDP response. And then on the right-hand side, there are more strategic tips in terms of how you can use the CDP response process to be able to derive business value and drive change within your company. The questionnaire structure has changed somewhat from last year to this year, so if you are familiar with last year, this is a mapping of some of the question areas to the new structure of CDP, so you can see it's been simplified from a structural point of view. There are some other examples that we've highlighted there to keep in mind as you go through this year's. So now I'm going to talk about our solution for CDP reporting. We all love spreadsheets. We've used a lot of them, I'm sure, in our professional lives, but they do have some limitations. And when it comes down to managing enterprise-wide data that's important from an enterprise point of view, there's some serious implications for or restrictions, limitations of spreadsheets. So what we found is that at some point, as companies mature in their carbon reporting, they need a better solution than spreadsheets. And we offer a solution in general. Our SOFI solution is our corporate sustainability solution. You know, this is a sort of a dashboard of what you see when you first log on to SOFI. You can see here that there's some key performance indicators, a dashboard, and you can also monitor the status of data collection within your organization, because as anyone who's done this before realizes, especially when you're doing your first footprint, the most time-consuming task is data collection. So SOFI is a tool that's a multi-purpose tool. You can use it for a lot of different purposes. For CDP reporting, we've developed a specialized sort of print called SOFI Carbon Explorer. And this is a tool that uses the SOFI platform, and it enables you to have multiple users entering data into it, and then sort of a centralized control of that, and being able to respond to all of the CDP questions. It includes both the quantitative questions as well as the qualitative questions. So it has built into it calculation algorithms for all your Scope 1 and 2 emissions, depending on where you are around the world, but certainly any sort of countries that we will typically encounter are in there. And as well as the quantitative information, you can answer all of the qualitative questions as well. So the Carbon Explorer solution really includes two dimensions. One is the software tool, which is a customized tool. It's ready to go out of the box to be able to support your CDP reporting. And these are the characteristics of it. It's not a full SOFI solution, but it is much more affordable than a full SOFI solution. It gives you up to 30 sites and 10 data collectors, and gives you calculations for Scope 1 and 2 reporting, and you can also enter your Scope 3 information in there for reporting that as well. As well as the software component of the Carbon Explorer, we also offer some support through a senior carbon consultant, and some of the support parts are shown there on this slide. I'm just going a little bit quickly through these slides because I really would like to have some time at the end for questions. So some examples of what Carbon Explorer looks like. These are some of the questions showing Scope 1 emissions by region or country. There's also some other examples of questions where you can see your emissions by facility. So what we do is customize the Carbon Explorer structure to reflect the structure of your company. And then you've got Scope 1 emissions by activity. So in addition to the Carbon Explorer solution, the sort of out-of-the-box solution, there's additional support that may be required if you have more than the sort of set number of users or sites. That can be accommodated as well. If you want to have extended support for Scope 3 accounting, The transferring the results to the online response system is being worked, as Zoe mentioned. Benchmarking, estimating some of your scores and trying to improve those before you submit is another area we can help you with. And then just general assessment of climate change risks and opportunities. Really, there's no limit to the additional sort of support we can provide, but the Carbon Explorer package in and of itself will get you started, and especially if you're reporting for the first time, it may be all you need to be able to report to the CDP. So just to sum it up, what some of the key benefits from Carbon Explorer are, you get a combination of proven software solution and expert consulting services. It's reliable. It's been tested by and certified by CDP via their partner, the Greenhouse Gas Management Institute. If you sort of simplify the actual data collection and reporting process, it leaves you more time to be able to do some value-added analysis and identify opportunities for improvement. It certainly gives you a very fast way to kickstart your carbon management and respond to the CDP. We have a process where in 2 months you'll be able to respond to CDP. And it's very cost effective. There's one sort of total package price, no hidden fees, and it's very good value, I think, for the price.
Duncan,
so,
I think this point right here is a really good one to focus on in context with Zoe's earlier slide around the different levels of maturity in carbon reporting. Because I think one of the key elements of the SOFI Carbon Explorer offering is really an outgrowth of our years of consulting and providing software in this market, trying to get people up that curve of maturity as quickly as possible, really, and as cheaply as possible. Because I think the point you just made there, Duncan, is so critical, which is that many times people spend so much time collecting data and organizing a response, looking for calculations, trying to understand what background data to use. They miss the opportunity, and I don't know if it's just because they haven't had a chance to do it or they just get tired from doing all of the reporting. They miss the opportunity to really dig into it from a business value-added perspective. And that, to me, and as our experience, is one of the really the largest values, not just because of the inherent value you can get from understanding why your carbon footprint is structured as it is, but also because competitors are moving very quickly into this field, and so there are situations where you can actually get into a competitive disadvantage by not really looking at this from a business value perspective. And so I think that this is a great place to kind of enter into some of the questions, because we have had a number of them coming in. And I'm going to start with a question around, to some extent, some of the other terminology in carbon management, which we have not really focused on in today's webinar. But as we are looking at reporting into the CDP, obviously there are direct emissions and indirect emissions. And so many people will be familiar with the term Scope 3 emissions, meaning indirect other than electricity or other than steam and those sorts of Scope 2 issues. And that's a question that we have here that, Duncan, perhaps you can answer about how is Scope